In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, welcome everybody on this Thursday night. So Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General. This is probably the most major, can't call it a firing because she's going to go work somewhere else, I suppose, take another job. But it's a firing. Let's call it for what it is. And let's look at the Bondi record for a second, because a lot of people out there will say, okay, Epstein files, said she had the files on her desk and she would release everything, but then didn't do that exactly. Probably shouldn't use the word files, but that sounds nefarious. And as a result, a lot of people, especially Trump supporters, were disappointed in Bondi and by extension Trump around the whole Epstein files thing, which again, I've said on the show 100 times, there are no files per se, as it pertains to Trump anyway. Because if Barack Obama had it in 2015, 2016, when Trump first ran for president, probably would have been leaked to the New York Times in about 8 seconds. And then Joe Biden would have used it, absolutely, in 2020 if he had access to something like that as well. And then the Kamala campaign also would have used such damaging evidence against Trump that he somehow was either complicit or was actually a pedophile along with Jeffrey Epstein. That evidence has never come to light because it does not exist. But anyway, people were not happy with Bondi. But you look at her record, lowest murder rate in 125 years. Now, is that Bondi, herself? No, but she was the AG when that number came out. 32,000 immigration cases in the first 6 months. 7 of the FBI's 10 most wanted were captured. Located also more than 6,000 child trafficking victims, arrested more than 1,700 child predators, apprehended 300 plus human traffickers. All right, so that's the AG. You want to compare her to, Jeff Sessions under the first Trump administration? You want to compare her to, Merrick Garland in terms of getting things done that make a difference, that make this country safer? She was very, very effective. But unfortunately, from a PR perspective, was seen as a liability, and that's ultimately why Pam Bondi is out. Todd Blanche will take over. He is the Deputy Attorney General, and he'll be the guy that moves things forward, at least in the time being. And then there are, let's say, we'll call it scuttlebutt around Alina Habba eventually taking over as far as being the Attorney General moving forward. So we shall see, but in the end, that's where we are. Trump, unlike Trump 1, when we're talking about firings, which in his first term, in the first year and a half, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, gone. Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, gone. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, gone. I guess the White House press secretary, I think it was Sean Spicer. I know it was Sean, but I'm saying that in August of that year, gone. Steve Bannon, who was a senior advisor, gone also in August of that year. Just anybody who started with Trump, almost none of them finished. And in this case, his cabinet, whether we're talking about the current Secretary of State, who has 18 other jobs, and Marco Rubio, very, very much in the president's corner, and vice versa. Pete Hegseth, my friend and former colleague, Secretary of War, very much ensconced, despite the fact that Democrats over and over call for his resignation. Not going to happen. Go down the line. Interior. We could talk about Treasury, Scott Bessent, and everybody else who works for Trump right now. very much singing from the same sheet of music. So when you hear about Bondi and somehow there's tumult within the Trump administration, it does not exist. These things happen. And in this case, it took until April of 2026 before a major name was taken out, I should say, of her position. Meanwhile, what's going on in Fairfax County, Virginia? That's Northern Virginia, right near Washington, D.C. So far this year, there have been 4 murder cases in Fairfax County. The defendants in 3 of those 4 murder cases are illegals. Fairfax County, thanks to its moderate, scare quotes, governor, Abby Spanberger, does not cooperate with ICE, therefore has restricted state police from working with ICE. And now we see the result. Again, 4 murders in 1 county alone, and 3 were carried out by illegals. This is what happens when you make your state a sanctuary state or a city where you coddle these people, because one day you really, really hope they become citizens and they'll vote for your party. That is the whole game plan. It is very, very apparent now. And the next time you hear about a moderate Democratic candidate like Spanberger, like Mikey Sherrill, who's doing the same exact thing with ICE in New Jersey, she flew a helicopter once, yeah, whatever. All right. These people are not qualified to run their states. And yet, Spanberger won easily, despite having an attorney general who literally called for the execution not only of his political opponent on the Republican side, but his wife and 2 children. It's all on text. Like, this isn't he said, she said, right? Was it Jay Jones? Was that his name? And he won by like 6 points. Democrats, I was asked this. I did a speech down in Boca Raton, Florida on Monday night. And you do a Q&A at the end. And one question was about why Democrats are so aligned with each other and come out as powerfully as they do in midterms. In other words, they do stick together, don't they? And they said, what's the difference between Republican voters in midterms and Democrats? And I said, Democrats vote on emotion. They always have. And their emotions right now is that anybody but Trump, anybody but a conservative, anybody, we will vote for a guy who openly rooted for the execution of his political opponent, his wife, and said that he hoped that his children, as in his opponent, died in his mother's arms. Literally, it's all on text. And this guy still got voted in easily because they'll accept that before they accept the other side, which they see as far worse because, well, it's all, Nazis trying to run the government kind of thing. That's where we are as a country at this point. And that's why the filibuster has to be blown up. There is no more compromise. There is no more working with the other side. The other side is crazy, led by unhinged, hyperbolic emotion. And this is what you get as a result. You get these candidates that have no business winning, have no platform, say they're moderates, just, so keep the media off them and don't scare away too many people. And when they get in office, they act as insane as a Mamdani, as a Let's Go Brandon Johnson in Chicago, as a Tim Walz, Jacob Fry, in Minnesota. That's the way it goes. So why bother? Blow the damn thing up. Meanwhile, in California, another great state out there, let's see, a fraudster was sentenced after investigation found 71 voter names registered to his own address. 71. This is the guy who got caught. Could you imagine how many people are out there that aren't being caught doing this? Where 71 names are going to the same address? Multiply that by even, 20. Where are we at? 1,400 votes? Let's see. In a tight congressional district, that could make the difference between a Democrat and a Republican. Here's a story. Former Lodi City Councilman, that's California, Shakir Khan, sounds Irish, was sentenced Monday to 3 years in county jail after election integrity advocate and database creator Larry Maloney helped local authorities uncover an elaborate voter fraud scheme Khan orchestrated to win his 2020 election. Khan pleaded no contest, to numerous criminal counts and money laundering after the San Joaquin Sheriff's Office discovered 41 sealed and completed mail-in ballots when searching his home, and Maloney discovered 71 names registered to Khan's address, phone number, or email. So, hey, you want to know why Democrats are so against the SAVE Act and voter ID and proving that you're an American citizen when to vote? That's why. And when you hear them say, well, there's only very, very limited examples, and the media echoes this, of voter fraud in this country. Yeah, examples of people have been caught. How much of this is going on in states where no one's getting caught? Because that could change elections, like, the 2020 election, where when you look back on this, Joe Biden, a guy that during that campaign showed that his brain had turned to mashed potatoes, got 81 million votes, 13 more than Barack Obama, who ran basically a flawless campaign. He was gifted a lot of things, of course, 2008, and that economic absolute, you want to call it a recession, the Great Recession, they called it, right? No Republican was going to win, and the Democrat was going to win in 2008, given how unpopular George W. Bush was, and the fact that John McCain wasn't the greatest candidate, not exactly electric on the campaign trail, and Sarah Palin, seen as, at least among independents, not conservatives, but independents, the people that decide elections, as a liability. But after all those things lined up, Barack Obama only gets 68 million votes, only. And Joe Biden got 81 million? You're going to believe that nothing nefarious went on there? You want to believe that? Roll the dice and take your chances, as they say. Anyway, before we go to break, what can you say about Bruce Springsteen, who, again, shows up in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, writes a song called The Streets of Minneapolis, ho, 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 ho. ICE is killing people in the street, and we must stop them. Oh, enough of this guy. I loved Springsteen growing up. The 80s, I went to go see a concert of his, Giant Stadium, at the time, it was called Stadium, yes, 2003. And you just loved the music, and you just felt like the guy was on the side of America. Now, he's no different than Joy Behar meets Don Lemon, except with really, really bad facial stuff going on. Not good. Whoever did his work, I'm sorry. It just looks very, very awkward. Anyway, here's Peter Holmes, a great comedian. He was on Late Night, and here he is making fun of a Bruce Springsteen song that seems to embrace pedophilia. No, really. This is cut number 7. Go.
What's going on with that song, that Bruce Springsteen song, where he goes, hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Did he go and leave you all alone? That's all I said.
Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Oh, boy. Yeah, very good point. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, before we go to break, did have a Truth Social post on Springsteen, saying bad and very boring singer Bruce Springsteen, who looks like a dried up prune who has suffered greatly from the work of a really bad plastic surgeon, has long had a horrible and incurable case of Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. The guy is a total loser who spews hate against a president who won a landslide election, including the popular vote, all 7 swing states, and 86% of counties across America. Wow. Under Sleepy Joe and the Dems, our country was dead, and now we have the hottest country by far anywhere in the world. MAGA, all caps, should boycott his overpriced concerts, which suck. Save your hard-earned money. America is back. And that's true. You want to go see Springsteen now, you got to pay $1,000 for the cheap seats. To hear like an old man who, again, as Trump calls it, dried up prune, who suffered greatly from the work of a really bad plastic surgeon, spend $1,000 on that? Well, good luck to you. And what can you say? It's no longer Jungle Land and Badlands of the 80s, but a guy who will just preach to you during the concert instead of actually singing the songs that you want to hear. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
Where liberalism is a no-go. The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition. Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, so we're in what is called the B block. That is the second segment. So we do a segment, we go to commercial, and we come back. So one segment is A, this is B, and B will be the, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some alliteration here, but basically the dumb person block. Okay, so I'm going to play 2 clips here of very, very dumb people that are somehow on national television on the same show, mind you, on A, B, C, and The View. Here is Lemon on The View playing the victim because he stormed a church with a bunch of Antifa agitators who thought that, let's go into a Minneapolis church and start harassing the congregators there who were just assembling peacefully on a Sunday morning to worship God. And he got arrested for it, obviously, for breaking several laws in that situation. Well, anyway, here he is on The View talking about how, boy, an entire SWAT team apparently had to arrest somebody who, I don't even know where to go with this. Cut number 15, go.
And they sent, 12, 15, maybe 20 people, agents.
20.
Right. Uh-huh. It's a waste of taxpayer dollars.
The more expensive
because
option.
And
the more theatrical.
All they had to do was, here's the thing. They do it because they want to embarrass people, because they do it with everyone. They want to embarrass you. They want to humiliate. Yeah. But as my friend, who is also an attorney, said that they gave you the N-word treatment.
Yes.
Yes,
that is correct.
Yeah, that's Sonny Hostin saying, yeah, she's the attorney who said that Don Lemon got the N-word treatment because he was arrested by the FBI and had to do a perp walk. Meanwhile, just so you know, Don Lemon is lying here when he says, there were 12, 15, 20 FBI agents. Well, which of the 3 is it, Don? I highly, highly, highly doubt that 20 FBI agents were sent to arrest Don friggin' Lemon. I doubt that even 12 were there to arrest Don Lemon. You want to say 2, 3? Fine. On the same show on The View, then he cried. Anyway, one more quick clip, if you don't mind, Elias. Whitney Cummings on the same show, believing that everything that's happening in the world is because of a distraction to distract, I guess, from Trump or something. Cut number 16, go.
I always try to find a little silver lining if I can. And one little piece of good news is the distractions aren't working. They tried to throw aliens at us last week. They tried to throw meteors flying, and we're not taking the bait. They tried to throw Epstein. Now they're going up around the moon, and no one's taking the bait.
Do not bring NASA into this.
I just mean, think about all the other things they're trying to throw at us, and we're not wavering. We're not wavering. We're not getting distracted.
So we sent men into space because of a distraction? This is insane stuff, but that is The View. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So before we went to break, we played Whitney Cummings, who is an alleged comedian, I guess, who had a show on NBC for about 5 minutes. Anyway, let's play the clip again, but only this one part, because I think it plays into the next clip I want to play for you as far as the whole aliens thing. The Trump administration appears to be signaling that we absolutely are not alone. But let's play cut 16 first, because it plays very well into what Tim Burchett had to say in terms of briefings that he was given on aliens. Cut 16, go.
I always try to find a little silver lining if I can. And one little piece of good news is the distractions aren't working. They tried to throw aliens at us last week. They tried to throw meteors flying, and we're not taking the bait.
All right, so they tried to throw aliens at us last week. They're trying to say the Trump administration did that. Well, here is Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee, who got some briefings on these aliens from several intelligence entities. And what he heard, and this guy seems pretty credible, is quite disturbing. Cut number 17, go.
I've been 100% serious. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I'll just tell you this, if they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up, you'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff. We just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was briefed. I'll just tell you this. I was briefed last week on an issue, or 2 weeks ago. And it would have set the earth on this country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers.
That's not a distraction. That sounds pretty effing serious, like as serious as a prison fight. I mean, what's he talking about? That on aliens, again, he said would set the earth on fire. That tells us that not only maybe did we capture some and we have some dead alien bodies at Area 51, just throwing that out there from like the movie Independence Day, but on top of that, like maybe they're among us kind of thing, or posing to be humans. And Matt Gaetz said, we played the clip on this show last night, that there's actually procreation going on between humans and aliens to produce like a hybrid race. I mocked it at the time. I'm not so sure I want to mock it now. I think Gaetz is like absolutely a clown, but my God, Burchett is saying this, and then Gaetz said that now granted, Gaetz is not in Congress, but that he has talked to people that said that this is happening. There's at least a decent percentage chance that maybe something like that is, and even if we're just being generous, that, all right, A, we're not alone. I think most of us could agree on that, but B, that these aliens are among us. This is not something that I really prepared for to talk about on this show, but I'm just giving you like organic reaction to this, and it's pretty disturbing. We'll just leave it there. Equally as disturbing is Victor Davis Hanson, who I've done a couple of like speaking events at, not together, but you get to talk to the guy, and the guy he is in any interview or on his podcast is absolutely the person that you meet in person. In other words, he is insanely smart, absolutely pragmatic, common sense, a deep thinker. Well, here he tells a story, which again, the stuff you can't prepare for before going on a radio show. He was approached by the infamous Fang Fang, the Chinese spy who bedded Eric Swalwell, the congressman from California now currently running for governor there, and talked about the whole strategy of said Fang Fang and why you would have to be an absolute idiot to fall for what she was trying to accomplish as a Chinese spy. This is cut number 12. Go.
Eric Swalwell, well, as I said, I wrote some critical things of China, and Fang Fang came to see me as a consular official out of the Bay Area, and I think she told me she was a political operative that monitored American politics, but when she walked in my office at the Hoover Institution, I kept the door open. I had one of my research people with me the whole time, and the way she changed accents and how she was dressed, you would have to be a stupid, narcissistic idiot to fall for that. I'm serious. In my case, it was, maybe he would say it's easier because I'm an old man, but my point was, it was about 10 or 12 years ago, and he fell for that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, I'll say this for the 1,000th time. The fact that, if you're Eric Swalwell and you are on the Intelligence Committee in the House, and a Chinese woman whose name is Fang Fang approaches you and basically tries to pick you up, probably a good idea not to hook up with that particular person because, again, her name is Fang Fang, right? She has very evil and very anti-American objectives to accomplish. And this guy fell for it. Victor Davis Hanson obviously saw exactly what was happening, but Swalwell not so much. And now apparently some files around the whole Fang Swalwell thing is about to be released by the FBI. And Swalwell, who is losing in his race for governor to two Republicans, no less, in that blue state, is panicking, and rightfully so. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris decided to do a little pre-video speech before President Trump's address to the nation last night as far as the Iran war. And this is Kamala being Kamala. What more can we say except she is a human Chernobyl outside of a teleprompter, but does relatively well here. Number 8, go.
Hey, everyone. So I'm not going to be able to watch the president's address tonight, but here's the thing. He brought America into a war that people do not want. He has put American troops in harm's way. Costs are rising by the day. And meanwhile, he has done nothing to address the needs of the people of America. And I bet you he's going to try and claim victory tonight. But the reality is we're watching what he does instead of listening to what he says.
Doesn't it always sound like she's about 3 or 4 wine boxes in when she does these videos? I don't know. There's a slight slur thing going on there. But Kamala Harris saying, oh, yeah, Trump brought us into a war that none of us wanted, except you were basically saying that the Iranian threat needed to be taken out, Kamala, while you were vice president. And then Trump does it, and now you're against it. Go figure. Bill Maher having some thoughts on Kamala's speech, and this is, well, just perfect. Cut number 9, go.
But, you know, when it comes to the war, when it comes to anything in this country, everybody assesses everything by way of, did my team do it? Then I love it. If their team did, I hate it. I mean, Kamala Harris made a statement. She said, this is a war the American people don't want. And who knows more about what the American people don't want?
Oh. And by the way, you hear that? Applause from the Maher audience on a dig on Kamala Harris, showing just how unpopular she is even among Democrats. Yet, every poll I see, she's up bigly, to use a Trump term, on Gavin Newsom, AOC, and anybody else who may run for president in 2028. And if Kamala Harris is the nominee, Democrats, kiss your chances of winning the White House again goodbye, because in 107 days, she was horrible. Imagine her for about 2 years, which is as long as presidential campaigns take. She only goes down in polls the more people hear from her. She is avocados. She is Jägermeister. The more you have of it, the more you don't want. And that is Kamala Harris. Anyway, let's go through 3 quick back-to-back lightning, not back-to-back, Elias, but I'll preview each one before we do it. Man on the street interviews of the No King protesters. Now, no kings. Do we have a king? No, we have a duly elected president, right? And Donald Trump, he won the 2024 election fair and square. Yet, here we go in cut 1 as far as, well, what makes Trump act like a king? And this protester can't seem to give an example. This is cut number 1. Go.
What do you make of the fact that he was democratically elected, even won the popular vote? How does that make him a king?
It doesn't make him a king. It makes him a president.
Right.
Not a king.
Well, this is
Correct.
called No Kings. So what does that mean to you?
It means we got to get rid of him. He's not a king. It's a democratic process, and we've gone that route with him. Now
said he was a
he's
president.
acted like a king.
Can you give me a specific example?
Specific example? Well, there's a million of them all put together. There's no one example. It's exactly
Just 1 or 2?
It's more than 1 or 2.
No, can you give me 1 or 2 examples?
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head. I mean, I can, I guess. I'm just in a loss of thought here.
That's great. Dumb people went to these things. Old, dumb people. Sorry, you can't give one example of how Trump's a king? Not one when you say there's a million of them? All right, let's do cut number 2. What makes Trump act like a king? And again, this is the answer that we get, which is a non-answer, as we say in this business. Cut number 2, go.
What specific action or policy is the Trump administration acting like a king?
He wants to be a dictator. He loves dictators.
Right.
He wants to be a dictator. And
didn't he just remove a dictator from Venezuela?
He went in and stole them.
So he was not a dictator in Venezuela?
He was.
So he removed a dictator.
Right. Loves dictators, except for the ones that he arrests and brings back to the United States, like Maduro. Okay, cut number 3, finally. Again, what makes Trump act like a king? And again, the answer is as ludicrous as you could possibly imagine. The best unintentional comedy out there. Cut number 3, go.
Disappeared. There are people that are American citizens that immigrated to this country illegally, and they're gone. Some people.
Can you give me a specific example? Because I'm not aware of any American.
You're not aware of that? It's being in the news.
Can you give me a specific example?
Donald Trump raped children.
Of an American citizen.
I know it's a setup. What you're doing.
You told me an American citizen has been deported.
Look it up, but
that's a big claim. I just want to know.
There are several of them.
Several, except no one can name one. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Holiday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated weed whacker guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Holiday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Holiday. Holiday, bring it on.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, everybody. So Jonathan Turley, I think, is the best legal mind in the country, at least the best legal mind on TV. Anyway, and Fox is lucky enough to have him. I am proud to call him a colleague. Anyway, here he is talking about what we were talking about yesterday as far as the Supreme Court and all these legal loopholes around birthright citizenship. And now there are companies, we are talking hundreds of them, especially Chinese, that are literally arranging for babies to be born here that are Chinese. They go back to Beijing until they're 18, then they come back and go to like UCLA, USC, pick your Pac-10 school, former Pac-10 school, and then they could just say they're American citizens, except they have no loyalty to this country whatsoever, and God knows what they're really here for. Anyway, here is Turley, and this is perfect as far as why the Supreme Court should rule in favor of President Trump's perspective, we'll put it that way. Argument is probably the better word, as far as this sort of thing needs to end, because this is not what those in Congress back in 1868 were thinking when they allowed birthright citizenship in the first place. They couldn't possibly have imagined what we're seeing now. Cut number 4, go.
I don't know anyone who believes that the framers would have embraced what we have today. We have become the world's ship of fools. I mean, you have China that is virtually mocking us. They have hundreds of these companies that solely arrange for Chinese citizens to give birth in the United States. It's done in the open, and it's making us into a laughingstock. But it also has robbed us of control over what it means to be a citizen in this country. The day is not over for the government. It's still possible that they could win. But this was not a promising oral argument in that sense. So we have to look at where we go from here. And many of us believe we need to deal with this problem, and that may require a constitutional amendment.
Which are very hard to come by. But yeah, things didn't go too well for the government, i.e. the Trump administration, yesterday in these arguments. And John Roberts, who was a big waste of space, is the Chief Justice. He was nominated by George W. Bush and has been a profound disappointment. You keep hearing that the Supreme Court is 6-3 conservative. No, it ain't. It's 5-4 maybe. And Roberts seems to, in the big decisions, go against common sense every time. Yesterday he said, well, the world has changed, but the Constitution has not. Okay, well, the Constitution is not a suicide pact, right? You can interpret things in different ways. And our framers, to Turley's point, could not have imagined hundreds of companies being set up by the Chinese to have babies here so they could be American citizens, and then they just go back to China anyway. But yet, because they're born on this soil, then that makes them a citizen. And I'm sorry, that is obviously exploiting what the framers had envisioned. Meanwhile, Harry Enton talking about how even Democrats, he is the pollster over on CNN, don't like their own leaders when it comes to basically everything, and the numbers are positively awful. So before you hear about all these things about blue waves in November, even Democrats don't like their own party. This is cut number 5. Go.
Look at this. In 2006, Dems' net approval of congressional Democratic leaders was plus 28. You go back to the last midterm, look at that, plus 19. Very much on the positive side. The bottom has fallen out. The bottom has fallen out. Minus 4 points. That is Democrats. Democrats' own net approval of their own congressional leaders. Even Democrats don't like their own leaders when it comes to Congress. And overall, of course, the numbers are just absolutely awful. So Democrat on Democrat crime, absolutely. This, to me, screams, again, primary challenges across the map. And it screams to me, hey, when it comes to those next leadership elections, maybe something might be cooking.
Yeah, cooking in terms of the socialists will win, because that is where the energy of the party is to the far left, the AOCs and Mamdanis of the world. They have the momentum right now, and that should scare everybody because these people are winning, at least in deep blue places like Chicago and obviously New York City. Meanwhile, Joy Behar saying that Trump is only in office because he has hoodwinked the poorly educated. And she's not one of those people, nor is Whoopi Goldberg. All right, they're the smart ones, is the argument here. And they're not falling for Trump's hoodwinking. This is cut number 6. Go.
Also, there's like magical thinking that all of a sudden the gas prices, which are $10 in California in some parts, a gallon, and the stock market is in the toilet. He thinks this is magically going to come back. Does he really think we're that stupid?
Yes.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, but I'm not one of the poorly educated, okay? Those are the ones he thinks he can get to, and those people are the ones who are going to turn on him.
Well, the crazy thing is, even the poorly educated recognize when they're being grifted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Whoopi. Whoopi dropped out of high school in 9th grade, so talking about the poorly educated as if she's, I guess, not one of them because she dropped out of school. As for Joy Behar, graduated Queens College. Look, Queens College, nice college. I think it made the NCAA tournament this year, but like it ain't Duke, Joy. All right, so you've proven on The View that I don't care where you get your college education, you can't fix stupid. As I believe the great Senator John Kennedy once said. Anyway, let's go down to Candace Owens, since we're low on time. And this is just sick. This is a sick effing person, Candace Owens. All she does, her entire existence on her podcast, is to mock Erica Kirk, who lost her husband to a brutal assassination. September 10th, Utah Valley University has to raise 2 very young kids on her own now. And all Candace Owens does, who was once a darling on the right as far as a conservative star, is mock Erica Kirk. And here she is now saying that when Erica went to the hospital to visit with Charlie before he died, if he wasn't dead already, said that he wanted, basically that she, on the way over, I guess, looked up what Jackie O said when she went to the hospital in Dallas after JFK was shot, and then decided to copy her, I guess, to emulate her in the moment. Her husband was just shot. She doesn't know whether he's alive or dead. And you think she's looking up scripts? That's what Candace Owens thinks. Cut number 13, go.
She gets to the hospital, and what's the story they tell? Well, she just took a page out of Jackie Kennedy's book when Jackie Kennedy didn't take off her blood-soaked outfit, and she said she wanted people to see what they did to her husband. That's exactly almost verbatim what Erica said, that she said when she got to the hospital, right? I want to see what they did to my husband. It's like they planned for everything to be so profound. Like, so profound. And guess what?
Oh, enough. You're a sick person, Candace Owens. And the fact that people actually listen to you and believe what you're saying here is just a whole bowl of wrong. Trump even saying to Erica Kirk, you know what? You should sue her ass off, is basically what he said to Erica Kirk about Candace Owens. And boy, isn't that so true? She should, but doesn't want to give it. Candace would only, like Don Lemon would appreciate the attention. That I do know. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. We're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on stations around the country. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.